Greetings, everyone. This is Manifest Ra, the founder of the Universal Love Movement and Heal Humanity. I'm very excited on this auspicious day to welcome you to Sound Synchronicity, an album, listening, and conversation with my good brethren, OtherWorld Soul, Mikuak Rai. And Mikuak and I go back for decades. He's been doing extraordinary work throughout the cosmos in the 5D dimension, but right here on the planet Earth, he's been doing great work on both coasts of the Americas and in many places around the world. I'm very excited about this album listening session and conversation. The name of the album is Love Notes to Self. And let me just take a brief moment to tell you about the benefits of this kind of music. We oftentimes have heard the adage that music is the universal language, or the affirmation, music is the universal language. And that is true, but what kind of music are we listening to? What are we tuning into? What is tuning us up? What is being instrumental in our daily affairs? And so I can 100% guarantee you that if you are joining us today, that you will experience an enrichment on the soul level, an elevation of the mind, relaxation of the body, sound synchronicity. And so I'm very excited today. And again, welcome everyone to the Universal Love Movement on this auspicious day. And so with that, we're going to welcome my good friend, good brethren. We go way back, doing great work. And I'm very excited about what he's doing now in terms of his latest music journey. Mikuak Rai, how are you doing on this auspicious day, good brother?
I'm doing great, brother Manifest. Hopefully you can hear me.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. All right. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much just for hosting the space today. It's a true pleasure to be here with Universal Love Movement. As we've done, as you mentioned, over the decades, we have held this space together on many occasions in the past. And today is certainly no different, other than the fact that, we're navigating some fairly auspicious times that we like to hopefully highlight in an artful way. So I do appreciate you opening the space today with the Heal Humanity ULM family, 5D, getting with it, raising the vibration, and dropping in with a little bit of my own artistry, because oftentimes we wear a lot of different hats, many of us out here, particularly change agents and people on that kind of frequency. So sometimes I tend to put the art on the back burner and put more organizing and activation on the front burner. But I've been compelled by the cosmos to really put forward my creative expression, musically speaking, which is a perfect complement to all my other advocacy. So thank you.
And music is so instrumental, pun intended, to our daily experience. When we think of musicians and artists such as Bob Marley, John Lennon, you name it. Music it moves us in a way that goes beyond just the intellect, the ego. Areas that we can get bogged down into old ways of being, antiquated ways of looking at ourselves and the planet, or just our differences. And so when we listen to music and we really tune in, it can elicit a certain level of connection with all things around us. So I'm very excited just to have a conversation, if you will, a down-to-earth conversation and a listening session with some beautiful music. And so with that, before we get started, tell us a little bit about what actually really moved you to actually acknowledge and answer your calling to be an emissary of music and healing music on a planetary level.
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, I guess it's always been a part of my experience as long as I can remember. I was influenced by my mother, who would play piano for church, and I'd be at home and kind of tap in to her experience of reading the hymnal and playing the music she saw on the page. So that was initially, I guess, the resonance of the piano, the instrument itself, really struck me at a very young age. And so, subsequent to that, I began to take piano lessons. and music was very much a vehicle for me to both express myself as I began to mature in that when I became a teenager, but also as a way for me to be able to engage socially with others, because I found it to be a talent I could bring into pretty much any environment where maybe I wasn't so comfortable just sparking up a conversation, but I would sit at a piano at any, number of different gatherings and just begin to play. And it was something I would do for myself, although I also soon learned that it did draw the attention of others. It would have an impact. It would raise the vibration, basically. It would make me feel more acclimated to a space where I could literally set the tone. And so the ability to set the tone in any given environment I found myself, music on one hand has helped facilitate that largely, but also then when I spent many years hosting open mics to encourage others to tap into their self-expression, their freedom of expression, that again, setting the tone became a function of any space or me hosting any space I would find myself, and music was often a way to accomplish that.
And so with that, before we're going to get into the music in just a brief minute, but why is it so important? Why is it essential that we're listening to music that elevates us and that inspires us during these intense planetary changes?
Yeah, I mean, I find music is important in the fact that it's, it's intimately connected to everything we know of as life. And by that, I mean, music is vibration. So even if we honor silence, there's a vibration in the silence. And some might even go so far as to describe the silence as deafening when you do tap into the frequency or the pitch that exists woven behind and within the fabric of creation. So music is something expressed by the planets. It's expressed by our heartbeat. It's expressed by the wind. We find that resonance, maybe better said, resonance and vibration are implicit to life. And so creative expression of music becomes another modality through which I believe we find our expression, the souls that we travel with and through the vehicles of our consciousness. And so we can see the range of consciousness expressed musically as well, because it's not discriminatory in the sense that if I have one particular frequency, like, if you're doing thrash metal, for example, that's a frequency, and that might not be a frequency that everybody necessarily resonates with, but it's an expressive vehicle for some. And so that's what I mean when it doesn't discriminate. Now, if I choose to take an orchestral approach and a subtle approach, it's a similar thing in that it's vibration, it's resonance, and we have the free will to express it. So I think music's important at this time because now more than ever, we need to, as far as I'm concerned, flex and express our free will. And music becomes one of the ways through which I feel we can become more sensitized to how we're really feeling, but then also give other people the encouragement to do the same and find their voice, whether that voice is expressed as visual art, or it's expressed through culinary arts, or it's expressed through musical arts or creative arts. I look at the idea that time is art. Everything is an aspect of our creative expression, our freedom to express ourselves. So
Well,
why not music? Why not music?
Why not music? And so with that, why not listen to some elevating music right now? I know you got some great music to help us really raise our personal and our planetary vibration and love notes to self. And so tell us a little bit about what you're going to be sharing with us today.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. So I'm going to share a couple of songs off the new project called Love Notes to Self, as Manifest indicated. And this was inspired in the past 30 or 40 days, maybe 50 days at this point. But it was recently inspired because I'd made a commitment to myself years ago when I left Washington, D.C., where I'd been living full time. I made a commitment that I would return if and only when I had music to share, something of my own creatively. I spent many years in DC facilitating the expression of other people, creating platforms and promoting and advocating. And as I mentioned, I kind of put my own art on the back burner. So this initiative, this project came along when I knew I would be coming to Washington, D.C. as part of something called Redemption Voyage. Maybe we'll touch on that a little later with my elder Audrey Scott Williams and some other community and kin. We were gathering in Hampton, Virginia. And so while I was in the region, I decided to come to D.C. I currently live in Los Angeles, for those who may not know, but I live in L.A. And so I was coming back to the East Coast, and I said, oh, I better create something musical to share, to keep that commitment with myself. And so it happened that my partner, Ishel, looking at some former tracks while I was also writing some new material, and we said, you know, let's put out this 7-song project. The idea was, I think it was initially called Love Notes, and then the title evolved to Love Notes to Self, because for me, I realized in reflecting on any of these songs, if there's advice or guidance that a person hears in that, they should certainly know it's also advice and guidance I'm giving to myself. It's like my higher consciousness is ministering to me, the human me, involved in the perils of our day-to-day reality we're all navigating here. And though I feel that some may call the Holy Spirit, their higher self, Christ consciousness, whatever the term is we might apply to identify this higher awareness, this inner voice, this still soft voice, that's what found its expression to me, to heal me, to really speak to me. So it's Love Notes to Self. The songs I feel are universally relatable in that way, you know, and I'm just excited to be able to share that with you all now, something very personal to me, but prayerfully you can feel a universal resonance with it for your own path and your own path of expression. Yeah. So you want me to go ahead and jump in?
Absolutely.
Okay, give me a second. We'll cue the songs up, and thank you to everybody tuning in. And let me know if for some reason you're not able to hear it. We want to make sure we get the technology right.
Now, I was also going to share a few initial songs there. There's Only Love, Juju, and Golden Sun. So,
right.
Yeah, just.
So we'll go ahead and dive on into the first bit here. And again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And if while the music's playing, you don't mind to go ahead and mute your microphone, that'd be super helpful. But thanks for tuning into this listening session with Mikuak Rai, yours truly, and Brother Manifest Ra. Much love, much love.
Feel this vibe. Up full frequency. Connecting with the heart and mind of Earth. Planetary unity. Check 1, check 2, check 3. There's only love I have for you. Check 1, check 2, check 3. Planetary unity. There's only love I have for you. fell in love. Every time feels so brand new. That's how I can tell it's love. The more I fell for you, the more I fell in love. Every time feels so brand new. That's how I can tell it's love, love. I first laid eyes on you. There was nothing I could do. Drew me in with your choo-choo. How I love the way you do.
Wow. Beautiful music. Music for the soul. And so what really resonates with me with that is everything is relationships. Relationship with self, relationship with our higher self, with our significant others, familial relationships, community, planet-wide. And so, there's only love. There's only love, Juju and Golden Sun. Being able to see the highest expression within someone else, not the superficial, the surface, just the physical, but going higher. And so, Mikuak, that's some beautiful music, man. What was the inspiration behind some of those tunes?
Yeah, life. As you said, relationships over time, and new love and new inspiration in life, and the kind of the culmination of all those things. Yeah, I've often found myself like writing poetry and that kind of thing, and when I started to fix together music with poetry, it just opened up a whole panorama for me creatively. And so I was able to really just kind of take reflections of my life experience and start to contemplate on them, maybe reflect on them, play with the words a little bit, and kind of just see what inspires, what wants to emerge. And so those songs, in fact, the very first song called There's Only Love, that is sort of the check 1, check 2, check 3. I like to think of that as checking for signs of life, on the planet, and just really seeing if we were coming from a higher perspective, and there were beings looking at our planetary situation. They'd be saying, check 1, check 2, kind of like microphone check, but also checking the pulse. Like, where are those who are alive? It's not just enough to be living, but to truly be alive. Like here, like where are the signs of life, and how are they expressing, towards a planetary unity? Because that what I feel creatively and for many years is that we are part of an ongoing transformative experience of unification, an awareness of the oneness inherently to all life, and that's an unfolding process. So that song speaks to that a little bit. Song 2, Juju, gets into the idea of in that spark, in relationship, in contact or connection. As speaking as a man in relationship with women, I've had that experience where I could be, I want to say, maybe captivated or led to inquire more because of the stellar connection, the cosmic connection I feel with a significant other. And so in coming full circle or full spiral, as I like to think, that song, though written a decade or more ago, is as relevant now to my life and my relationship, my partnership with Ishel, and all that we're co-creating together and have been for the past several years. So it just really speaks to that. But I think, again, that's something that others can relate to as well, as having that cosmic exchange, that recognition of another yourself. In Lakesh, we like to say, I am another yourself. And the song Golden Sun, it speaks into the phase, the solar age that we're currently navigating. One way or the other, the sun is doing a major up-leveling of life on the planet. As we kind of look into the solar energies and the Schumann resonance, giving us an idea of how these energies are being measured and affecting the planet. But all of us, humanity, are being impacted by that as well. But that song Golden Sun speaks to seeing that cosmic presence in the eyes of another. In your eyes, I see the golden sun. I recognize where you are coming from. In other words, we come from the same place on a similar mission, that when we become awake and aware here in this earth suit, we begin to look around and recognize the others, those kin folk that are part of the same mission, part of that same, I like to say, transition team or reconnaissance team into the planet, again, checking for signs of life. So that's where those songs are coming from.
Sound Synchronicity, an album listening and conversation with OtherWorld soul artist Mikuak Rai. Beautiful music. I mean, just touches you at the core of your being. when we look at ourselves, we're 20 to 70 trillion cells, and every cell has a receptor on it. So we're listening to music, we're listening to sounds, tones on a daily basis throughout the day that are affecting us in one way or another. And so when we listen to music like you're sharing, Sound Synchronicity, it calls us to a higher harmony and higher expression of who we really are. And with that, I think you got a tune coming up, Higher Harmony, right?
Exactly. And I'll preface this song by saying this is one of the new tracks, really since this 1212 activation portal that we both participated with. There has been an influx of what I've been feeling, and maybe others can relate to this, but a really up-leveling of the energy. And, you know, and sometimes that up-leveling doesn't necessarily look how we might want it to look, because certain things have to be adjusted before other things can emerge. And so we're at an interesting inflection point and transition period where a lot of times I say, you know, choose your change or your change will choose you. Some people are having challenges navigating this kind of very narrow window, while others have in a way surrendered to that reality a while ago. And so they're having a different type of experience. Either way, we're all being evolved and made to grow. And higher harmony is the idea of how do we best relate during these transformative times, especially to our other human relations. How do we practice patience and forgiveness, you know, in situations or life generally where we may need to forgive ourselves, we may need to be patient with ourselves in order that we can forgive and be patient with others. And that's kind of where that song goes. And it is inspired in part by the Ho'oponopono prayer or practice of a traditional Hawaiian culture, the kahuna practice, as well as the great sage wisdom of our very own Mama Ayo Handy Kendi in her initiating Black Love Day in the spirit of Inya Akoma, you know, where you'll hear a little bit about that in the song as well. And then we'll follow that song up with the sharing of a wonderful music video that Ishel and myself under World Bridge Media created about 2 years ago, kind of preceding this album, but for a song called In Out. And it's on the album as well. The song is on the album, but we wanted to go ahead and share the video for that song today, since we do have a special visual to go along with that. And then we'll come back and chop it up a little bit more.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, brother.
I only wanna love you. You're another part of me. How we're supposed to get to a higher harmony. See, I was made to love you. You are one with me. So how we gonna get to that higher harmony we were meant to be? I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
I only wanna love you. You're another part of me. How we're supposed to get to a higher harmony. See, I was made to love you. You are one with me. So how we gonna get to that higher harmony we were meant to be?
Always ours.
Do we choose feel or love? Be patient, get a heart, and return to love. I only wanna love you. You're another part of me. How we supposed to get to a higher harmony? See, I was made to love you. You are one with me. So how we gonna get to that higher harmony we were meant to be? In, out, breathe life, live from your soul. Freedom, timelines, be sure you're in control. We are traveling through space and evolving through time. Elevate the human race from some dubious designs to control our minds. How we gonna let them do that? Can't ever let them do that. Don't you ever let them do that, no. Signal sent from a beacon from afar. With your love and gratitude, really tune into the stars. They want to separate, always conquer and divide. I prefer to be one with earth, one love, one heart, and one mind, by divine design. How we gonna let them do that? Can't ever let them do that. Don't you ever let them do that, no. How we gonna let them do that? Can't ever let them do that. Don't you ever let them do that, no.
All my relations, all our current situations are just demonstrations of unconscious creations. Be wise, energize your liberation equation and sum it all up, quantum manifestations.
Giddy your Vimana, activate your macabre, ignite your heart with the prana. Cause this life is an honor to elevate your mama beyond all the drama. Navigate beyond the fear to a higher state, upper atmosphere. Let's resuscitate our biosphere and activate her noosphere. Breathe in, breathe out, be love, no doubt. Seek truth and find it was always there within you all this time. In your hollow heart and mind.
All right. Higher harmony, in and out. And so those are, how can I say it, timeless concepts. Higher harmony, in, out. And so, you know, what really spoke to me about that, particularly higher harmony, was just living from the best version of ourselves. Oftentimes we can kind of, you know, for whatever reason, you know, I'm having a dissatisfied day. I'm not necessarily just feeling it today. And then dump that negative energy on someone else. And so oftentimes what we're experiencing is not the true authentic version of another person or ourselves. We're just sharing the dissatisfied version of who we are. And so, you know, that's where the inner work comes in. That's where compassion and non-judgment as much as possible comes in, but higher harmony, in and out. So speak a little bit about in and out, because I know you already touched on higher harmony. Tell us a little bit about the science and the wisdom behind in and out.
Yeah, it's a touchy song a little bit, you know. I know that that was inspired, as Ishel corrected me. It wasn't 1 year ago. The video was released about a year ago. The song maybe a year and a half or so, but it was written kind of during the throes of the pandemic, and it was sort of an expression of my line in the sand, so to speak, personally, where I'm not inclined for any reason to you know, participate in things that I'm not in alignment with. And so, you know, I suppose that's a shrouded, coded way of saying, you know, that I was leaning into my own free will to choose and not necessarily allow myself to be cajoled or coerced into doing things that I would potentially later regret, you know, to some degree. So I think most people tuning in can kind of pick up what I'm putting down when it comes to that. And for those that have made choices that might not have been in their best interest or in alignment with their own inner thoughts or voice, I can appreciate why and how they, you know, may have felt the need to potentially make a compromised decision or things like that. But that song is really about recognizing that we're so much more than our physical bodies, and that we do have the ability, once we tap in and really begin to direct our own thinking, to make very clear, coherent choices for ourselves and for our families, and ideally for our relationship with the planet, ultimately. So that is a bit about what in out speaks about. I mean, it's the input and the output. You get out what you put in, kind of thing. So in out, you know, and it's also a terminology used in electronics and things like that. I/O was the original name. But when we tried to load the song up to, I think, YouTube or other places, maybe Spotify, it wouldn't recognize I/O as a song title. So then we had to go back and literally call it in out, like in out burger or something, but that wasn't obviously the intention. But you get the idea. But that's the general gist of it. And there's a part in the song where it basically says, how are we going to let him do that? And that's really challenging to say, how are we going to let him do that? Like, this is happening on our watch. There's a lot happening on our watch. And I know oftentimes we can feel a little powerless to the peril. However, I just want to invite people to tap into the resources, both within themselves as well as within their larger community, because we don't have to just accept things that are sort of projected at us or even sometimes shoved down our throats or into our thinking. We don't just have to accept it as it is without questioning certain things, and as to both their efficacy as well as their appropriateness. And I think if we really examine the way things are out here in the group think, and the primary narratives that are promoted through your mainstream channels and social media channels and things like this, the past several years has been perilous trying to navigate this with any sense of coherence and, again, alignment with our inner voice, the inner knowing. It's been very much called to, in some cases, be compromised. So that song really speaks to that, to say, take a stand, draw a line in the sand with what you're willing to take or not, because what you're willing to take now is an indicator of what's to come. And I think we have to bear that with some sobriety as well. And at the same time, I think that now that the big business scheme has been deployed on us as a collective, there's enough contrary perspective about the fact that this has been a big scheme that people can educate themselves, think for themselves, and make some more clear decisions going forward for their own health and well-being, as well as that of their family and their children. So that's what the song speaks to. It does, obviously, visually, we kind of indicate, a hesitation, even resistance against, having somebody plug in a microchip to the back of our necks. Now, that's an allegory, although it does run parallel with this advent of AI technology and with the idea of singularity as sort of the only hope for future humanity, as projected by certain technologists and entities like this. I mean, the technology industry governs the world. It's not politics and governance that does that anymore. We're moving at a pace of acquiescing our consciousness, our conscience, and our willpower to technology that now, almost like a saline drip, just keeps us regulated, and also monitored on top of that. There's really no privacy, so that these are some of the perils that we're actually having to face collectively head on. And I would like to think that enough people are stirring within themselves and waking up to say, hey, I don't really feel right about that. I'm not going to give my consent to becoming a subject of singularity in the sense of, having technology be implanted into me on some level, or chipped into me on some level, without my permission or my cognition. And so that's what that song is about. It's a mouthful, as I said. But when you listen to the lyrics, you break it down, the real message is you do have this higher technology. Get in your Merkaba, activate your, your entire light body system, which we do have. Everybody knows the word chakras by now, though that's a relatively new word in our Western language and idiom. But it does speak to the fact that we have these energetic points that we're plugged into with the creation. And as we begin to align those chakras, we begin to make ourselves more available to the flow, the ongoing abundant flow of chi or life force energy that we can then consciously direct to live in a higher harmony, to actually have that experience directly. And it's hard to tell somebody what the impact of meditating is, for example, unless they themselves meditate. So these songs are meant to provide encouragement to say, hey, if you're being made to feel weird or strange because you have a contrary opinion or perspective on the way that the mainstream is trying to push and promote or build a narrative, that step out on faith, step out on your intuition, and trust yourself to know that when you employ your intuition and the service in your imagination is employed in the service of your intuition, then a whole new panorama opens up in relationship to your creative purpose. And
Indeed.
that's part of what we're navigating right now collectively. So yeah, that's a long-winded way of saying that song is full of instruction and encouragement.
Our intuition should be our ignition.
Yeah.
What should be driving us, moving us on our daily navigation. Life is an inside job. And so, what also comes to me through your music is a remembrance that we are truly multidimensional spiritual beings having a human experience. And so we're even shifting from what we know as sapiens to luminous beings, really light beings. That is really, we're being, I don't like to use the word upgraded because that sounds so mechanical and AI-like, but spiritually elevated, all of us, to exist, to navigate at a higher frequency. And so as luminous beings, light beings. And so everything about higher harmony to in and out, just a natural process of bringing life force in, releasing it as well. So it's so many different expressions to that song. And so as we embrace this luminous being, there's some things we must let go of in the process, because we can't, in and out, if you're eating something and once you assimilate it, that which no longer serves you, you have to release it. And so this next track, Burn Up, we need to burn up some things. And so we're not talking about being violent. We're not talking about any of that, but we're talking about releasing some delusion. So that, as well as another fine tune, talk a little bit about those before we get into it. What kind of inspired you to do those?
So Burn Up and the final song, LUSM, it's an acronym for Love Us So Much. Burn Up really was a recently inspired song, and it came one afternoon when Spirit just said, okay, go listen to this production palette of things to work with musically. And I did that, and I found the sample of Fire Hata. You'll hear that in the track. And I thought it was just really dope. It's like a Jamaican chanting kind of rhythm piece. And then the guitar parts, I was working with those and, kind of just was guided to pull all this together. And then the message came through very clearly: burn up all delusion, and the lyrics you'll hear to follow, just kind of more a recognition that there is a part of our healing process where we need to burn up all delusion. Whatever deludes us from stepping into that higher life, or the higher heart, we might even call it, is something we can put in that fire of purification, burn it up. And on top of that, it was also something Michelle had shared with me maybe a day or two before, an Instagram post from somebody in Europe talking, kind of being the media that they want to see. It's not some mainstream media, but they were saying, that there appeared to be several weeks or months where the sun was deliberately being blocked. Like in Europe, wherever they were, some country in Europe, it was more unusual than normal that the rate at which the sun was evidently being deliberately blocked. And we do see that here in Los Angeles. If I'm being completely transparent with you guys, there are instances where obviously metals are being sprayed in the sky. And so the song was also speaking to the fact that we are living in the solar age, and yet there are campaigns to try and block the sun. Why is that? Why are we, as an organic humanity, being interfered with by deliberate efforts to block the sun? To whose end is this a benefit? And what are the metals that are being sprayed? Why don't we really have coherence or cognition around these things? Why aren't we questioning these things? And some groups are, some communities are absolutely doing that. However, we need more people to really tap in and ask the right questions and be patient enough to receive the answers. And so this song kind of speaks to that a little bit. And then Love Us So Much is really a livocation of a song to my family, my immediate family, my nuclear family, we might say, but then also to the family of humanity. Like, I love us so much. And then we go into Say We Serious, which is kind of an acknowledgement to the fact that I do believe that we are galactic beings. I don't believe we're just Earth-based beings. And part of our galactic legacy or lineage does, in many cases, for many of us, stem from the star Sirius. And so that's many traditions around the world you'll find where their cosmovision orients them as being from Sirius and having a relationship with the whales and the dolphins, those mammalians here on Earth that are also said to be beings from Sirius. So this is, again, cosmological folklore people can explore for themselves and tap into, but it does speak to the fact that we are so much more than just our physical vessels having this Earth experience, although this is a very important part of that whole experience right now that we do have the pleasure and the blessing and the privilege of navigating through. Yet, let's not fool ourselves to think that we're just this material Earth-based experience, because we're so much more than that. And I love us so much for the fact that we are so much more than that. And that's what that song is about. And I'll say in closing, this project was meant to kind of lift the vibration for the summer. That's why you notice kind of the songs progressively become more upful in terms of the rhythms, and that's intentional. It's meant to be relaxing as well and kind of lounge, kind of chill to some degree, but then we want to really raise the vibration and also the movement. You know, everything is in motion, everything is moving. So we wanted to give a vibe as well musically that encouraged people to move. And that last song is definitely upful. And we've seen the way it works in some live, shows in recent months. And it's just amazing. So without further ado, I'll go ahead to the tracks. I appreciate the opportunity, and for all those tuning in out there, thank you for allowing me to share these tracks with you. And prayerfully it does uplift and inspire your experience, for sure.
Burn up all delusion. Love will burn up all confusion. Living in a solar age, they wanna try and block the sun. All the world's a stage, and it's a curtain call for some. Everything done in the dark will have to come to the light. Solar maximum started as a spark, and it's about to reach new heights. Burn up all delusion. Love will burn up all confusion. Don't even think for a bit AI is more intelligent than Earth, 'cause she'll be having none of it. You've been the highest tech since birth. You come equipped with codes programmed into your soul. Through your breath, aligned with source, giving you complete control. Burn up all delusion. Love will burn up all confusion. As the fire gets hotter, lift your vibes, align your chakras from root to crown. Follow your anahata, not insiders. More like script rewriters, no dividers. We be love and light igniters. The natural elements, yeah, they really make sense. So we consciously connect in a world so dense. With the ether, air, earth, fire, water. Like the sun, we blaze a path for all our sons and daughters. Like the sun, we blaze a path for all our sons and daughters. Like the sun, we blaze a path for all our sons and daughters. delusion. Love will burn up all confusion. Burn up all delusion. Love will burn up all confusion. Burn up. Totally satisfied, abundantly blessed, eternally grateful. Us, love us so much, love us so much, love us so much. We're serious, we're serious. Love us so much, love us so much, love us so much. We're serious, totally satisfied, abundantly blessed, eternally grateful. Totally satisfied, totally satisfied, abundantly blessed, abundantly blessed, eternally grateful, eternally grateful. Us, love us so much, love us so much, love us so much. We're serious, we're serious. Love us so much, love us so much, love us so much. We're serious.
Better and better, better and better, better and better, better together, better and better, better and better, better and better, better together, better and better, better and better, better and better, better together, better and better, better and better, better and better. We better together.
Totally satisfied, totally satisfied, abundantly blessed, abundantly blessed, eternally grateful, eternally grateful. Totally satisfied, abundantly blessed, abundantly blessed, eternally grateful, eternally grateful, eternally grateful. Us, love us so much, love us so much, love us so much. We're serious, we're serious. Us, love us so much, love us so much, love us so much. We're serious.
Woo! My goodness. Powerful. Powerful music.
Yeah, man, just some vibes.
Yeah, yeah. We need to hear from the people. We got some people in our audience here. I love to
I would
hear.
love to. Absolutely.
And let's kind of bring a few people on and just
Come on camera or something, or just unmute themselves and
absolutely.
share with
Please,
them how they're feeling.
any questions, any comments, what you're feeling. I mean, to dance, to have some music to really get you moving, but get you elevating and getting you just moving your entire consciousness is just something else. So anyway, let's hear from some other people. Anybody, would you have any comments, any questions that you have for Mikuak relative to this sound synchronicity? Go right ahead.
I'll pick up the talking stick. I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for your contribution, and thank you for your level of consciousness and growth, and for putting it in a space where we could all, be uplifted by it and vibrate high with it. And, like no matter what you are, no matter what genre you lean into, when the message is that clear and you're really leaning into sharing your own growth and development and journey and transformation, that's such powerful medicine in the world. So thank you. That's what I wanted to say. Talking stick in the middle.
Thank you very much for sharing. Appreciate that reflection.
And that's coming from Nina Songbird, Black Notes, and she's a beautiful expression of harmony, higher harmony within herself. So, anytime your peers can speak to you about your music, it's just like you're cooking anything else, it for you. So thank you so much, Nina, for sharing. Anyone else, words of, love, expression, questions, go right ahead. Anyone, unmute yourself. If you have any questions, just on, go ahead.
Hi, Manifest. Hi, Mikuak. It's Manifest Mom.
Hey, Mama Mary, how you doing?
I'm great. I was running errands this morning and I came in just before you guys got started. I had a really bad headache. And the music just settled me. It was just wonderful.
Oh, hallelujah. Thank you. Wonderful. Music medicine.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Good. Thank you. That's a beautiful thing to hear. I really received that. I know Sister Tamara made a comment that the babies she sent me a text mentioning the music when it initially came on, they were chillax. They were relaxing, tuning in. So that's a good thing too.
Thank you so much, Mom.
Beautiful.
Indeed. Also, I know we have some few more comments, but Mikuak, how can people find you? I know I put the information in the chat for those who are.
Sure, yeah, I'll put it in the chat, and I think Ishelle is putting it on some of the social platforms where we're streaming live now too. I definitely encourage people to get the BANDCAMP version if they can. It's a $7 donation, and those proceeds are actually going towards a special media project that myself and Ishelle and our colleague Ruben are working on currently. Actually, we're heading to Teotihuacan, Mexico, to the Pyramid of the Sun and the Moon next week to do some documentary filming down there. The reason being is that the grounds there are the place where for thousands of years, traditional people indigenous to the region have been celebrating the heliacal rising of both Sirius as well as the zenithal passage of the sun, meaning the point at which the sun is at its highest. And over about 3 days, it's directly over top the pyramid temple structure of Teotihuacan. That area is dated back to about the 1st century BC, although that is a guess. And I think just as good a guess is that place is much, much older than that. And, anthropology, archaeology, these sciences are only theorizing about not only its time of it being built, but who built it. It's still a big question mark out there as to who the builders of this were. we're leaning into the idea that it was actually built by people, I guess, best described as Nubian, original inhabitants and melanated people that were seafaring people long before colonization, long before the advent of the Gregorian calendar, some 441 years ago, even contemporary to ancient Egypt, or Kemet, as it's referred. So when we look at the mounds of Mississippi, and we look at the fact that that was a thriving civilization some 2,000, 3,000 years ago, considering the original inhabitants, it opens up the range of questions to also look at places like Teotihuacan and their relative impact as it relates to these ancient sciences of timekeeping and the other cultural points of orientation. So anyway, I say that to say that if you buy the album on BANDCAMP, I'll pop the link up here in the chat right now. Just know that the proceeds from that sale of the record are all going towards supporting this journey we're taking down there to begin to make this special film with our partner, Planet Restoration, PR 1328. Shout out to Bilal Abdul Samad and Taj Abdul Samad as well, who are part of that production. And our dear brother, Ruben Yinas, who will be hosting us in Mexico next week. So anyway, there's a lot going on, but everything we do, we're doing really under the auspice of our faith-based organization, Foundation for Noëspheric Consciousness. So that includes the music that we're putting out. It includes our media services via worldbridgemedia.com, as well as then our fundraising efforts. And we want to give a special shout out to Heal Humanity for really helping us put that forward front and center to the community gathered there online. And people can certainly go onto our GoFundMe that they'll find a link for also on Heal Humanity. But that's another way they can support. They can get the music and that will support the cause. Or they can also just, if they, from the loving kindness of their heart, want to exercise some energy philanthropy, they can go ahead and make a love offering via GoFundMe on Heal Humanity's page, as well as all of our other assets online. They can find it there too.
And I just strongly encourage people to, anyone that's listening right now, that's enjoyed what you've experienced. I just don't like to say heard or listened to, but truly experienced. It's an experiential process to support artists like Mikuak Rai, who are, through music, through sound, are helping to heal humanity. I think with Edgar Cayce and also Albert Einstein, they have quotes on how the medicine of the future is sound and healing. Sound and music. And so I don't know if that's future, past, present. It's always been there. It's always been
relative.
It's always been sound advice. It's to listen to your own breath. It's to go out and listen to nature. Now more than anytime that we can recall. So please support good brother Mikuak Rai. I know I'm going to support him, not just his album, but the journey as well, so they can document that and be able to present that to people around the world on what indigenous healing ceremony and communion is like in these sacred portals around the world. So again, make sure that you support Love Notes to Self. I know I'm going to support it, and I'm very excited. So if we have any other questions, we're going to sign out in just a brief moment in a few minutes. But if anyone else has any comments or questions to Brother Mikuak, please go right ahead. Okay.
Thank you, Sister Rashida. Left a beautiful comment up there. Much appreciated. Appreciate the help. It takes all of us. So we truly appreciate that support, just getting the word out there. That's a major way to help raise the awareness, is just helping spread the word, And also the music is available for streaming for those of you that listen to Spotify or to like Apple Music or any of the, the popular streaming platforms. I put that link up there too. Obviously, that's another wonderful way to just get the vibration out there. As you probably know, Spotify and those platforms don't really benefit the artists that much, especially independent artists, but we are certainly benefited by more human beings receiving the sound vibration that benefits all of us. So if that's streaming is a preferred method, then we certainly encourage that. And if you're an avid IG poster, for for example, somebody who posts on Instagram regularly, you can go in and select the songs to, affix to some of your videos or your online social media content. That's another way to help bring it to people's awareness when they hear it on an IG post or, things like that. Then that's certainly something. It is available throughout all platforms for those purposes as well. So much appreciate love for the sharing of the good vibe.
Indeed, indeed. Well, we're looking forward to hearing more of your music, sharing it. Please share this brother's music far and wide. Music is truly the universal language. And so we don't quite know often how something is that we would perceive as minimal. Okay, hey, I'm sharing some music, I'm sharing a song, I'm sharing a tune. But we've heard in many occasions how someone maybe was in a very dire place, a very down, lower vibration. And it was a helping hand, it was a prayer, it was a song, it was some music, it was a message that helped that person find the resilience within themselves to continue on their path, or to cultivate a level of healing where they could continue forward. And so music like this, every one of these tracks, to me, touched me at the soul level. So I thank you, Brother Mikuak. And what words would you like to leave us with before we move on today?
Let's see. Maybe the album song titles are perfect words to leave you with. From There's Only Love to, moving along the whole list here. Juju, Golden Sun, Higher Harmony, In, Out, Burn Up All Delusion, and I Love Us So Much. That's what I'd love to leave you with, just the frequency of those song titles, because it's a whole statement in and of itself. But I definitely thank you, Brother Manifest, for opening the space again today with the Universal Love Movement. And may this just continue to shuttle us all forward for decades to come into a higher consciousness. And it's a wonderful thing to have your mother on here today as well. Big up to all our mothers, because we are certainly here in service to the great cosmic mother, manifest as our biological mothers, and the others who have raised and nurtured us. So we give thanks to the mothers and the fathers at all times, as well as for these star seeds coming in, and those who are already here and present, that we are here to help steward into this new phase shift, we like to call it. Just in closing, I did put a link up there for folks interested in learning more about natural time. I don't go specifically and say that so much on the project, but a lot of what I do is absolutely informed by tuning into natural time, the 13-month, 28-day calendar, also known as the 13-moon calendar. And I'll just say this in closing. Today is a very auspicious day in that timekeeping paradigm, because today is basically 14 gestation cycles, or 14 Zolkin cycles, since an event called galactic synchronization. This took place in the year 2013. It was kind of the bookend to the December 21st, 2012 phase, the end of the cycle, and before the beginning of the new cycle. That beginning took place July 26, 2013, or on the kin number 164, which also we are visiting today. So today is the exact 14th Zolkin since that particular opening. And if we were to reflect back on about the past 10 years, the phenomenal shifts that have been happening, we can really appreciate that we have been in this transformative process, more at a turtle's pace in some cases, but at the same time, some of it just seems to be coming along like a major wave. And so we're navigating that with creativity and a higher harmony in mind and heart. And so I invite you to check out the link I did put in the chat there that does take you to what's called the Overtone Wizard Year calendar. And that version is presented by the Foundation for the Law of Time. And folks can find out more information about all of those kind of things at mikuakrai.com. I'll just put that there as well. And that's a great resource to find the links to anything I'm involved in, from the calendar work to planet restoration, to the initiatives we serve from Ethiopia to Mexico, as well as the music and the creativity. And special shout out to all my loved ones out there as well. So thank you so much, Manifest, for the opportunity.
Beautiful, beautiful. Support Brother Mikuak Rai, Love Notes to Self, as well as his endeavor. He and Michelle and Ruben, that they'll be trekking on in the coming days, a week or so, to really just, be of service and to share sacred space, commune with the elements in that sacred area. And so we give thanks for you, Brother Mikuak. We see great things coming for you. The music is only going to get better. I know you've been at it for a while, since you were doing your band in the DMV about a decade and a half or two ago. And so it only gets better,
21
man.
21 years ago.
Wow, 21 years ago. Wow. So that's a cycle within itself. So, hey, again, support Brother Mikuak Rai. We thank you. May you go in abundance, optimal health, and continue to bless humanity, the ancestors, and the planet Earth with sacred music. We appreciate you, brother.
Likewise. And Lakesh.
Okay.